Just editing the camera. All right, welcome to day 1 of Commonlit. Today we're going to be reading Pygmalion, but before we start, I want to make sure you guys know how to log in and all that jazz. So you're going to click the link on Google Classroom. You're going to follow that. If you were not here and you didn't set up an account, you have to go to sign in with Google, sign in with your student email address, and then create a password, click to connect, blah, blah, blah. Then it'll take you to your assignments, and you're going to click on Pygmalion, because that's the first one today. Pygmalion spelled Pygmalion. Okay, so I'm going to read the text to you. Feel free to pause the video if you're like still signing in and all that jazz. I will stop where there are guided reading questions, because if you're doing this online, you will have guided reading questions. If you are doing this physical copy, you won't. So just kind of roll with it. If you're doing this physical copy, you'll have the assessment questions and you'll have discussion questions. If you're doing online copy, you'll have guided reading and assessment. And that's it. All right. So here we go. So Pygmalion is by Ovid. It is a Roman myth. So it's by a Roman poet who was born in 43 BC. So I'm going to read the little top part. So Ovid was a Roman poet born in 43 BC, who is best known for his book of classic mythology, Metamorphoses. Pygmalion is a classic story about a sculptor. As you read, take notes on Pygmalion's ideas about love and how they evolve. So we know this is going to be about love. Cool. Pygmalion had seen them, spending their lives in wickedness, and offended by the failings that nature gave the female heart, he lived as a bachelor, without a wife or partner for his bed. But with wonderful skill, he carved a figure, brilliantly out of snow-white ivory, no mortal woman, and fell in love with his own creation. The features are those of a real girl, who, you might think, lived and wished to move if modesty did not forbid it. Indeed, art hides his art. He marvels, and passion for this bodily image consumes his heart. Often he runs his hands over the work, tempted as to whether it is flesh or ivory, not admitting it to be ivory. He kisses it and thinks his kisses are returned, and speaks to it, and holds it, and imagines that his fingers press into the limbs, and is afraid lest bruises appear from the pressure. Now he addresses it with compliments. Now it brings gifts that please girls, shells and polished pebbles, little birds and many-colored flowers, lilies and tinted beads, and the hilarious amber tears that drip from the trees. He dresses the body also in clothing, places rings on the fingers, places a long necklace round its neck, pearls hang from the ears, and cinctures round the breasts. All are fitting, but it appears no less lovely, naked. He arranges a statue on a bed on which cloths dyed with Tyrian muriacs are spread, and calls it his bedfellow, and rests its neck against soft down as if it could feel. Okay, so then we get to guiding question number 1. How does Pygmalion act on his feelings about women? He dislikes real women, so he carves an ideal fake one, is A. B is he dislikes them and shuns all women from his life. C is he likes them so much that he carves the perfect women to admire. And D, he loves one woman so much that he carves a statue of her. Okay, so think back. We know Pygmalion is the man. He is the dude. He is a sculptor, and he doesn't like women. He feels kind of shunned by them. Go with that. You're going to get the answer to this question from the first 2 or 3 sentences. Okay, so pause the video here if you want to answer the question. If you are doing this physical copy, again, you are not answering guiding questions. Thumbs up. All right. The day of Venus's festival came, celebrated through Cyprus, and heifers, their curved horns gilded, fell to the blow on their snowy neck. The incense was smoking when Pygmalion, having made his offering, stood by the altar and said shyly, "If you can grant all things, you gods, I wish as a bride to have," and not daring to say the girl of ivory, he said, "One like my girl, my ivory girl." Golden Venus, for she herself was present at the festival, knew what the prayer meant, And as a sign of the god's fondness for him, the flame flared 3 times and shook its crown in the air. When he returned, he sought out the image of his girl and, leaning over the couch, kissed her. She felt warm. He pressed his lips to her again. The ivory yielded to his touch and lost its hardness, altering under his fingers, as the beeswax of Hymettus softens in the sun, and is molded under the thumb into many forms, made usable by use. The lover is stupefied and joyful, but uncertain, and afraid he is wrong, reaffirms the fulfillment of his wishes with his hand again and again. It was flesh. The pulse throbbed under his thumb. Then the hero of Paphos was indeed overfull of words with which to thank Venus, and still pressed his mouth against a mouth that was not merely a likeness. The girl felt the kisses he gave, blushed, and raising her bashful eyes to the light, saw both her lover and the sky. The goddess attended the marriage that she had brought about, and when the moon's horns had 9 times met at the full, the woman bore a son, Paphos, from whom the island takes its name. Oh, I forgot to do question number 2, so I'll edit this later. So question number 2 is, when Pygmalion attends Venus's festival, A, the goddess grants his wish that he might find a woman to love more than the statue. B, he prays in vain for the goddess to grant him happiness and love. C, the goddess grants his wish for his statue to become a real woman. Or D, the goddess, angry with him for ignoring real love, melts his statue. So Venus is the goddess of love. She is Aphrodite in Greek mythology. So just so we're aware. So he goes to a festival, he asks for one like my ivory girl. And then Aphrodite grants this wish. How? Pause the video so you can answer the question. Okay, now we'll do question 3, which comes after, at the very end, sorry. Maybe I'll read this first. Yeah, and then I'll edit it. Okay, so it was flesh. The pulse throbbed under his thumb. Then the hero of Paphos was indeed overfull of words with which to thank Venus, and still pressed his mouth against a mouth that was not merely a likeness. The girl felt the kisses he gave, blushed, and raising her bashful eyes to the light, saw both her lover and the sky. The goddess attended the marriage that she had brought about, and when the moon's horns had 9 times met at the full, the woman bore a son, Paphos, from whom the island takes its name. Okay, so question 3. How does Pygmalion react to his statue's transformation? A, he is worried and uncertain if she'll be what he hoped. B, he is overjoyed and they marry and start a family at once. C, he finds it bittersweet to gain a wife but lose his ideal woman. Or D, he is thankful to the goddess but over time comes to dislike the real woman. So keep in mind, pressed his mouth against a mouth that was not merely a likeness, so like fake. So he had been kissing and holding a statue. Weird. But now it's not a statue anymore. And then go from there. Okay, so pause the video here if you want to answer question 3. I'm going to move on to the assessment questions. So the assessment questions are what everyone has to do. Everyone's doing the assessment questions. Okay, so which statement best describes a central theme of the text? So remember, theme means what the author is arguing or what the author is trying to tell us, what lesson can be learned, such and so on. All right, so A, always trust the god's judgment. B, love always ends in heartbreak. C, women are powerful teachers. Or D, art and love are both powerful forces. Okay, question 2. What is the relationship between Pygmalion and Venus? So Venus, again, is Aphrodite, goddess of love. Pygmalion and Venus share mutual respect and understanding. Pygmalion does not like Venus because she is a woman. Venus does not like Pygmalion because of his judgment of human women. Pygmalion begs Venus for help, and Venus finally acquiesces. Acquiesces? I actually don't know how to say that word. It means finally like gives in. It's just like, fine, you can have it, like whatever. Okay. Next question, part A. How does the tone of the first paragraph differ from the tone in paragraph 3? So tone means how the author feels about some topic. Speaker, how the speaker feels about some topic. It's not like mood. Mood is what you as a reader would feel. This is specifically how this person feels. The first paragraph is sad and depressive, while the third is hopeful and yearning. The first paragraph is judgmental and lonely, while the third is grateful and full of love. The first paragraph is grateful and full of love, while the third is judgmental and lonely. The first paragraph is full of hope, while the third sees that hope realized. So I'm going to tell you right now, as a good rule of thumb, if you see two answers that are kind of similar but flip-flopped, it's probably going to be one of those two answers. So I'll tell you right now, it's going to be B or C. So if you go back and look at paragraph 3 and paragraph 1, you'll be able to identify the tone. So how does the author feel towards this subject? Okay, and then number 4 is going to support that. So you have to support your answer to part A. So part B, which of the following quotations best illustrate the tone of paragraph 3? So the last one. A, then the hero of Paphos. B, over full of words with which to thank Venus. C, the girl felt the kisses he gave, blushed. Or D, the woman bore a son Paphos. Great. All right, the assessment question. You absolutely have to write 5 sentences for this. 5. So, how does Pygmalion's attitude towards women change over the course of the text? Cite evidence from the text in your response. So, your R, I will give you right now. Pygmalion's attitude towards women changes over the course of the text. That's your first sentence. Pygmalion's attitude towards women changes over the course of the text. Great. From there, you should be answering the question. So tell me how. So I would suggest you look at the very first few lines of the first paragraph and then move into the third paragraph. And that's where you're really going to see your changes. So for your citations, you should have a citation from paragraph 1 and a citation from paragraph 3. Then you're going to explain to me how those show the change. So whatever piece of information you pull from the first paragraph, explain how that shows his attitude then. Whatever paragraph you pulled from, whatever quotation you pulled from the third paragraph, tell me how it's different now. And then the last one, sum up, is just kind of wrap it up. Just tell me, kind of reiterate how he's changed over the course of the text. Cool. All right, so if you're online, video is over. You are finished. Make sure you answered all the questions. You did 5 sentences for the last question, and then scroll down and hit submit assignment. I will not receive your answers if you do not hit submit assignment, and I will be very upset. Okay. If you are doing the paper copy, you have discussion questions. Discussion questions can be 2 to 3 sentences. Okay. Does the Pygmalion story have any modern applications? Explain your answer. So, can we learn things in 2020 from the Pygmalion story? If you don't think that's true, explain why. If you do think it's true, explain what it is we should learn. Okay. Number 2, how does this classic mythological story inform your idea about love? Okay, so the first part of this question is, how does this story tell you about love? Or what does it tell you about love? And what, according to you, is true love? So that's your opinion. So the first part is, what does the story tell you about love, or what love should be? The second is, what, according to you, is true love? Okay. Number 3, How does love emerge? So where does love come from? Like, how does love start? Does love come from your heart? In Shakespearean times, it was said that love comes from the eyes, that you could see it in a person's eyes, and that's what leads to their heart. Does it come from friendship? Do you have to be friends with the person before you can love them? According to this, Pygmalion loves a statue. Is that a real thing? I would be concerned modern day if you were in love with a statue. However, you're supposed to use evidence from the text and your own experience to answer the question. So answer the question, tell me how love emerges. Then you're going to tell me, according to the text, love means blah, 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 blah. Then you're going to tell me something from real life. So maybe it's your parents. Maybe it's a cousin who fell wildly in love. For me, it would be like talking about my parents and then talking about my relationship with my fiance. Stuff like that, okay? And that's it. So once you answer the questions, you're all good. Send me messages if you have any questions about anything with this. You have 2 days to do this. So if you need to go back in the video and re-listen to things, feel free to. And take your time and send me emails and reminds, whatever you need to do so that way you can get it done. All right? All righty. See ya.